الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope everyone's doing good. So we're gonna get started. And let's refresh where we are to continue. We are reading Surah Al-Baqarah, and we are on second chapter of Surah Al-Baqarah. And I believe yesterday we finished at ayat number 154. Yeah. So I will finish at ayat number 154, the very last ayat which we finished. So Allah Ta'ala is talking about in this previous ayat which we read yesterday. Allah Ta'ala is ordering us, ordering all the Muslims that they need to remember Allah Ta'ala. So they need to worship Allah Ta'ala and they need to remember Allah Ta'ala as much as they can. So Allah says, "Fadkuruni askurkum washkuru li wa la takfurun." So Allah said directly that you guys need to remember me and I will remember you. And if you are thankful, and you need to be thankful and do not be ungrateful. So by doing that, I will fulfill my favors on you. So the more we are thankful to Allah Ta'ala, the more blessings, the more Allah Ta'ala is grateful for us, and more we get in this world. And obviously, there's going to be much more better reward hereafter. And then the very last ayat Allah Ta'ala said that the people who die in the cause of Allah, meaning who strive for cause of Allah, who do everything for the cause of Allah, they fight for the cause of Allah, and they live their life for the cause of Allah. So everything they do is for the cause of Allah. Allah said those people when they die, they don't think they're dead. They're alive, but you just don't know. So Allah Ta'ala says they're alive that you don't know. So meaning they have a much better life and they're gonna be living forever. So that's where we finished at 154. So we're gonna continue with ayat number 155 today. So let's get started. 155 and the next one is a little longer. So go ahead, Sarah, read ayat 155.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. And the definition is, and do not say about those who are sin in the way of Allah.
The next one.
And surely we will test you. And surely we will test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits. But give good news to the patient ones.
Okay, good. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين. And surely we will test you with something of the fear and the hunger and loss of the wealth and the lives and the fruits, but give good news to the patient ones. So Allah Ta'ala is telling in this ayat that Allah Ta'ala for sure is going to test every one of us. So with the purpose of us, we need to always remember that why are we here in this world? We are here in this world only for one purpose, and that is a test. The test which we are doing in this world, the life every day, every night, the test is that we become submissive. We follow Allah Ta'ala. We become Muslim. Muslim is submissive. We become submissive and we do ibadah to Allah Ta'ala. That is the only purpose, that is the biggest purpose why we are in this world. So Allah says that Allah Ta'ala is going to test us with this test, that we're going to worship or not, and then Allah Ta'ala is going to test us with another test with something of their fear and the hunger and loss of wealth. The fear, what fear? The fear, everyone have different fears, right? Every one of us, doesn't matter how happy he is, how sad he is, what kind of life he has fear. He has fear of different things. If you have wealth, if you have a lot of money, you have fear that you can lose it. If you have a business, you have fear that you can lose business. If you are healthy, you have fear, you always have fear that you can lose your health, and what's going to happen if you get sick and end up in hospital. So everyone have different fears. At different age, at different time, we have different fears, because we human are not powerful enough. We human are depending on others. We're depending on others. And most of them, we depend on Allah Ta'ala. We depend on Allah Ta'ala for everything, for our existence. We depend on Allah Ta'ala for our food, for the water we drink, for the air we need to breathe. So many factors. Obviously, we have fear on this. So Allah is saying that I'm going to test you with the fear you have, then how are you going to act in that fear? With that fear, are you going to be submissive more? With that fear, are you going to call me more? Are you going to ask my help more or not? So with that fear, Allah is going to test us. And Allah is saying that I'm going to test you with a hunger. Hunger meaning when we are hungry. When we are hungry, when we have nothing to eat, are we going to be patient or not? So that's a test. So when someone is hungry, obviously, sometimes people get mad. They get mad because they're hungry. They want to eat something. They don't want to wait. But Allah says, I'm going to test you when you're hungry, that how you act. Are you going to be patient? Are you going to turn towards me? Are you going to ask me for your help? So, and most importantly, how are you going to act when you hunger? And then Allah said, I'm going to test you with the loss of the wealth. Loss of the wealth meaning if you are wealthy and Allah makes you poor, how are you going to act? Are you going to still remember me? Are you going to still be thankful on whatever you have? Are you going to still be, or how are you going to do? So Allah says, there's going to be a test for you. I'm going to test you with the wealth as well. And I'm going to test you with the lives. With the lives, meaning if someone dies from among you. So obviously we see people died, right? That's natural phenomena. So what happens if someone close to you die? How are you going to act? Are you going to be patient? Or are you going to lose your mind? Or are you going to be, people get depressed when they lose someone they love. When they lose someone they love and they don't turn back to Allah Ta'ala, they don't have patience, then the depression comes in. The depression comes in and they take their lives. So they get depressed, they get sick, they end up in hospital. So they control, if they control themselves, meaning if they turn towards Allah and be patient, then obviously they won't get inside diseases. So as I said, I'm going to test you. If you lose someone, if you lose a life, lose someone, how are you going to react? And then I'm going to test you with samaras, with the fruits meaning different things which you like to eat. The fruits could be like a fruit which we eat, like apple, mango, and all that. That's a fruit. And also fruit is something which when we work very hard and we expect a better result, we expect a better fruit out of it. Meaning when we do something very hard, we work hard for something, are we going to get the result which we expected, or we don't get the result which we expected? So that's also a fruit, right? So the fruit which we work for it, but it's not a fruit, but the reward which is good to us, which we call the good fruit we earn, right? So as I said, I'm going to test you with that fruit as well. That if you strive for something, if you work hard for something, and if I don't give you the result which was expected, how are you going to react? Are you going to be still reacting as a normal person? Are you going to be patient? Are you going to be still asking my help, or are you going to lose your mind? Or are you going to lose your mind and you go crazy and you become violent? So as I said, I'm going to test you with that as well. And then at the end of this ayat, Allah says, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, that the good news is for the patient one. So the ones who are patient, so all these things, Allah said in this ayat, obviously Allah wants us to be sabir. Allah wants us to be patient. As I said, whoever is patient on all these things, on all these tests, there's a good news for them. What's the good news? The good news is obviously is a Jannah. The good news is the hereafter life, that once you die, Allah Ta'ala is going to give you Jannah. The good news could be something in this world as well, that Allah Ta'ala is going to reward us with the patience. So once you are patient, Allah Ta'ala is going to fulfill our desires in this world as well. and obviously hereafter Allah Ta'ala has promised that hereafter Allah Ta'ala has prepared Jannat for us.
3, 2.
So, any question anyone have on this ayat? Okay, good. So if there's no question, we're going to continue. So next ayat, which is ayat number
I'm gonna put the
156.
question in.
Huh?
Oops, sorry, I opened my mic. I didn't mean to. I have a question about Jannat.
Yes, Akbar, what is that?
Like in Jannat, right?
Hmm?
Like in Jannat, can you be like small as an ant?
Say it again.
In Jannat, can you be small as an ant?
Why would you do that? Why would you be an ant?
I think like it's go underground, like in the grass, under places that small and you're too big for to go under that little small hole.
But you know, being a human, Allah Ta'ala has made us human. Allah Ta'ala has made us ashraful
No, he's saying
makhluqat.
in Jannat.
So it doesn't matter. So Allah Ta'ala has made us better than everything else. So why would we even desire for something less? When Allah Ta'ala has made us much more powerful than these ants, animals and all that, Allah Ta'ala has given us priority on everything. So why would we like to be something less? Right? We would like to be something greater. Why would you be to like to be an ant? And obviously Allah can give you whatever you want, but that's something not a good desire. You want to desire something better. You don't want to desire for something less. Why would you do that? But in Jannat, obviously Allah is going to give us everything which we need. So if you desire something less for you, that's your loss. You'll be an ant and other people will be like huge. So you won't be feeling good. So you want to desire something which is good, not something which is bad. Okay, let's continue. Next, ayat number 156. Okay, who do I have next?
Can I read?
Huh?
Can I read?
Okay, go ahead, Rida.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. And the definition is who when misfortune strikes them, they say, indeed we belong to Allah, and indeed to him we those are the ones on whom
You're going to next ayat. That's it. You will we return. الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Those who when strikes them a misfortune, they say, indeed we belong to Allah and indeed we towards Him will return. So Allah Ta'ala is telling us what we need to do when we have trouble. So whenever Allah says when someone who strikes with a more misfortune, meaning if someone is facing hardship, if someone had trouble, if someone is having a trouble, if someone is facing hardship, and if someone is having a misfortune, so meaning if someone loses something, if someone has a loss in business, if someone has a loss of, and if someone has an accident, if someone dies even, so if someone dies, if someone has a loss, any kind of loss, big or small, then Allah says that they say these people who are patient, who are good Muslims, who believe in Allah Ta'ala, they always say, indeed we belong to Allah and indeed towards Him we return. So they say, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So this is something which is very important for all Muslims. We need to memorize this ayat, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. These 4 or 5 words is very important. So we say this thing whenever we lose something. If we lose someone even as well, someone dies, if we hear someone dies, we always say Inna lillahi wa inna ilahi raji'un, meaning that we accept that everything belongs to Allah Ta'ala. By saying this thing, we admit that we belong to Allah Ta'ala, and indeed we will return to Him as well. So we hear someone died, we need to remember that, yeah, we also belong to Allah Ta'ala. If someone else has died, we're going to die as well. We belong to Him as well, and we're going to return to Him as well. So with any loss, with small loss as well, we can say this thing, and with someone's life loss, we need to say this as well. So we need to memorize this small ayat, and we need to always say this thing whenever we have a loss, any kind of loss, and small or big, we need to recite this ayat. So that gives us confidence, and that by saying this thing, we admit that we belong to Allah Ta'ala, and everything goes back to Allah Ta'ala, which is a fact of this life, which is a fact of this world. Allah Ta'ala has created this world. Allah Ta'ala has created everything. Allah Ta'ala has created all the creatures. Allah Ta'ala has created us humans, and we're going to die, and we're going to return back to from where we come. We come from Allah Ta'ala, and we need to remember this, and we need to say this whenever we face any difficulty. Okay, next ayat. Ahmed, go ahead, beta. Next ayat.
Next slide.
Ji beta, after 156.
136. Ulaika alaykum
Alayhim.
alayhim
Salawatum.
salawatum bihi wara dan ulaika
humul muhtadun. Okay. Ulaika alayhim salawatum min rabbihim wa rahma wa ulaika humul muhtadun. Those of them are blessings from the Lord and mercy, and those they are the guided one. So that says the people who say this previous ayat which we read, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, when they have a loss. When they have a loss, bigger loss, small loss, all loss, when they have bigger loss, and they say this ayat, so these are the people, ones whom are blessings from the Lord. So these are the people to whom Allah Ta'ala sends blessings and mercy. Meaning Allah Ta'ala is very merciful with them, and Allah Ta'ala is going to send His blessing, and they are the guided one. So these are the people who are truly guided, because they admit they're guided, because on the loss, they didn't just start crying, they didn't just start, I mean, obviously you can cry, we can cry, we're human, we're weak, with a loss we can cry, but only to an extent. We can cry only to an extent to express ourselves, but we cannot be crying all the time. That crying cannot take us to depression, that crying cannot take us away from this world, that crying and being sadness cannot take us away from Allah Ta'ala. That crying and sadness cannot be more enough that we forget to worship Allah Ta'ala, that we forget to do namaz. So we cannot be as much sad, we cannot be as much crying that we let go of namaz, we let go of ibadat. We need to, even in the sadness, if we remember Allah Ta'ala, if in that sadness, we believe that this thing which we lost was given by Allah Ta'ala, and Allah Ta'ala was the true owner. Allah Ta'ala gave us the ownership for some time, but obviously the true owner has a right to take it back whenever he wants to. So as I think, by saying this thing, by admitting this thing, you believe that Allah Ta'ala is the owner of everything, and you, by that belief, Allah Ta'ala is going to send blessings to you, and Allah Ta'ala have your mercy. Allah Ta'ala is going to forgive you, and you are for surely the guided one. See how huge how big, how huge this ayat is, and what a great benefit that one is, you know. Okay, let's continue. So next ayat, which is ayat number 158. Ayan, go ahead.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم. And the definition is indeed, the Safa and Marwa are symbols of Allah. So whoever performs Hajj or Umrah, there is no blame on him for walking between them, and whoever does good voluntarily, then indeed Allah is all appreciated, all knowing.
Good. إن الصفا والمروة من شعائر الله فمن حج البيت أو اعتمر فلا جناح عليه أن يطوف بهما ومن تطوع خيرا فإن الله شاكر عليم. Indeed, the Safa and the Marwa are from the symbols of Allah. So whoever performs Hajj of the house or performs Umrah, so no blame on him that he walks between both of them. And whoever voluntarily does good, and indeed Allah is all appreciative, all knowing. So Allah Ta'ala is saying, Allah Ta'ala is changing topic here. Allah Ta'ala is talking about Safa Marwa. We know what Safa Marwa is. If we don't know, Safa Marwa is in Makkah, right? Safa Marwa is a place. Safa and Marwa, these are two different spots. And this is in Baitul Haram. This is in Hana Kaaba Masjid on one side of it. So what is Safa and Marwa? So when we go for Hajj, when we go for Umrah, we perform, we walk between Safa and Marwa as well. I don't know if the people who have done Umrah and Hajj, they might remember this thing. But if you don't remember, Safa and Marwa are two spots in Masjid, which are now in Masjid al-Haram, in Baitullah. And I was saying that if you walk between them, it's good. And that's a good deed to do. So what is Safa and Marwa? This is Safa and Marwa is a place where when Allah Ta'ala asked Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam to take his son and wife and go away from the place where you live. So you have a question? So he used to live. So Allah asked Ibrahim alayhi salam to take his wife Hajara and his son Ismail alayhi salam and take them to a place and leave them there. So he took them out of the place where he was living, which was all green. And he walked with the angel, he walked, and then Allah asked at one place to leave them there. That place was all desert. At that time, that place was all desert. It was Makkah. And then Allah asked Ibrahim alayhi salam, leave your wife and your son here and you go away. So there was a test to Ibrahim alayhi salam, which he did without any hesitation. So he took his wife Hajara and his son Ismail alayhi salam, who was very young, probably a year or 2 year old, very young, and then he left them there. So he left them there and they had no food, no water, nothing. So when Ibrahim alayhi salam left, his wife Hajara, then his son was hungry, Ismail was thirsty, and there was no water around. So she was running around looking for water. So this was like a valley between two small mountains. So she was going from one place to other place. One place was Safa, one place was Marwa. So she was running around looking for water, and there was no water. And then when she couldn't find any water, she comes back to see his son if he's still okay, and he was still crying, and she started running again. So she goes from one point to other point, and she couldn't find water because this was all desert. And when she come back, she found his son still crying. So she was tired, and then she hit the ground because of tiredness. Allah Ta'ala made water come from there, and that water is Zamzam, which we still drink, Abe Zamzam. So Allah Ta'ala made that fountain of water right with his heel, which she hit the water. So Allah Ta'ala gushed that water from there, which is still Allah, which still come. So this is something from Allah Ta'ala, which is from that time. So later on, that piece of land become part of masjid because the masjid was formed. The masjid was formed after that, but then that part, that Safa and Marwa, become part of masjid. And whenever Muslims, when we go to Hajj and Umrah, we go and walk between Safa and Marwa in remembrance of that, in remembrance of Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, in remembrance of his wife Hajra, and in remembrance of his son Ismail alayhi salam, that how they were here, and that how his wife was running for water, and how Allah Ta'ala formed that Abe Zamzam right there. So that is the place which we go there and we see it. So Allah Ta'ala is talking about that Safa and Marwa. As I say that the Safa and Marwa and the gush of the water, everything is sign, is a symbol of Allah Ta'ala, that how Allah Ta'ala gave water. And when the water start coming from there, if the travelers who were walking by, coming by, they start staying there, and eventually they start living there, because for anyone to make a city, they need to have water close by. Since the water was good, if water was there, it was ample, people started living there, and the whole city got formed. So that's how the whole city got formed, because of the water, which is called Makkah now. So as I say that whoever goes there, they need to walk there, they need to walk there, and it's good for them. And whoever does voluntarily any good deed, then Allah Ta'ala is all appreciative. Allah Ta'ala is all appreciative. Allah Ta'ala is going to give reward for all the good deeds. Allah Ta'ala knows all the good deeds. Any question anyone have? Okay, if there's no question, we're going to wrap it up here, and we're going to finish our class today with this Ayat 158. Yes, Reza, you have a question?
Actually, Akbar has a question.
Yes, Akbar.
Like in Jannat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jannat, can you wish you had a pet? Can you wish in Jannah you had a pet, a monkey, a pet, a leprechaun?
Yes, you can have anything, beta. Again, in
Not the animal. Can you have a pet black panther?
yeah, you can have Black Panther, you can have lion, you can have anything you want.
Hassan, you're glitching. Your voice is glitching. Glitcher!
Okay, so we're going to finish the class today, and we'll
And there's one more thing.
Yes, Veda.
Did you turn the camera thing off?
Yes, because Akbar was running around and he was distracting.
Okay.
So we're going to make a dua. We ask Allah Ta'ala to forgive us. We ask Allah Ta'ala to help us read more Quran. We ask Allah Ta'ala to make us among good Muslims. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to help us do fasting, to help us do good fasting. And we ask Allah Ta'ala to forgive us in this Ramadan. Because in the month of Ramadan, Allah Ta'ala says, Allah Ta'ala forgives many more people than other days. So in Ramadan, Allah Ta'ala forgives many more people than Allah Ta'ala forgives every day. In Ramadan, the gates of hellfire are closed and the gates of heaven are opened. Meaning, many people will go to heaven in Ramadan because Allah Ta'ala will forgive them. So we ask for all this goodness from Allah Ta'ala. And with this, we end up. And Allah Hafiz everyone. I will see you in the next class. Assalamu alaikum everyone.